Good afternoon, everyone, and a warm welcome to our roundtable with Leifheit. It's my pleasure to introduce Alexander Reindler, CEO of the company, Marco Keul, CFO of Leifheit, and Igor Irate Munduate, COO of Leifheit. They will walk us through the presentation and share deeper insights into the company's product portfolio, which I'm sure many of you know well, as Leifheit products can be found in almost every household in Germany. Before we dive in, just a quick housekeeping note. This conference is being recorded and all participants are in a listen-only mode. After the presentation, we will move on to a Q&A session. If you have any questions, please submit them via the chat box. We will address them after the presentation, and questions are welcome in both German and English. My team at MBB Research follows Leifheit closely, and I'll provide you a link to our latest research in the chat box as well. And so, gentlemen, without further ado, I'll hand it over to you. The floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much for the introduction. A really big welcome to all of you. Thank you very much for joining our first MBB roundtable. We have been selecting this format especially to reach a lot of you. So really big welcome, and we are very excited, Marco Keul, Igor Irate, and myself to welcome you here and have a discussion in the next hour about a great company, Leifheit. So as a couple of you people are new, I think, have not been yet at our investor calls, we will also show you a little bit more fundamental information about the company, but we look also very much forward to the Q&A at the end. So if we speak generally about Leifheit as a company, first of all, we last year celebrated our 65-year anniversary, so a long-standing company. Very healthy and very great company. We have around 1,000 employees worldwide. Obviously, you all know the strong brand Leifheit, but also the brand Söhnle, which is part of the Leifheit company. Very established business models where we work mostly across Europe, but also globally, but mostly across Europe with a lot of different customers for a long time together, very trusted relationships here across the different sectors, across the different channels, be it retail, offline or online. First of all, high quality, I think, stands out for Leifheit. I myself, I'm now CEO for 1.5 years. I was impressed by the high quality of products, really German engineering at heart, very great quality in the market also versus other products in the marketplace. As I said, we have an international presence, mostly Europe, 98% of turnover we do in fact in Europe, so a European company. And we had a very good business development. And last year we come to the year one, half one results later, after we have done a strategy update for you. Strong commitment to sustainability is part of our vision as a company, and we have started with the climate strategy last year and continue to roll this out into the different elements. So in terms of company structure, we divide the company generally in 3 fields: household, well-being, private label. These are the 3 business areas we have. Household being the core of the company. So the core also, if we talk about the new strategy from last year, is really laundry care and cleaning. And you see that is also the dominant part of the company, around 80%. We have also a kitchen segment under the brand Leifheit. We have then the brand Söhnle, which is part of Wellbeing, more than 150 years old brand. And then we have the private label segment, where we have 2 companies, 2 French private label companies. First is Birambeau, mostly, entirely kitchen equipment, kitchen segment, and Herby, also in the laundry drying segment, producing private label, mainly for France in the drying sector. So now let me show you one video which maybe encapsulates very nice what the company is about.
In 1959, Leifheit was founded with a simple idea: to make people's lives at home easier. Ever since, we have pursued this approach and developed various innovative products with superior benefits for consumers. Today, we are a European company with over 1,000 employees worldwide. We stand for products of high quality and reliability. Now, we have a clear vision for the future. We want to become the leader in Europe and specialist in mechanical cleaning and drying, always with one idea better: to make lives of our consumers easier. We will achieve this with our relentless ambition to improve every day, with our courage to explore new paths, with our commitment to integrity, and with the trust in ourselves as one team. Leifheit, our ideas to make your life easier.
Yeah, I think very nice, puts everything together. So let me come now to the strategy part. So after the first introduction of the company, we want to give you today a strategy update or an introduction to the strategy for the ones who are new to our calls and our interaction. Then we will give you, Marco Koll will do that, an update on the first semester results, and then an outlook. You have seen it already in the video. So that is our long-term strategy, corporate strategy, leading with focus, creating sustainable value, which we developed last year, beginning of last year, and which we are rolling out since then. At the core of that is really, we want to be a specialist in what we do. We want to focus on what we are best in. And this you see in the vision encapsulated in the focus and the specialist in mechanical cleaning and drying. So by being specialists, we want to serve consumer needs best. We want to do that in an entrepreneurial culture with a sustainability mindset. So sustainability is high on our agenda since the start of the strategy. You see, leading with focus, creating sustainable value means exactly that. So really focusing on what we are best at, and also leading the market and the market with that clear focus. Then very important, we defined growth and efficiency drivers, because that's what we believe is the key importance. We want to bring Leifheit back to a growing, but also very efficient and profitable company. So both 5 growth drivers as well as 5 efficiency drivers are very important, and I will touch some of them, and afterwards Igor Iraeta will speak already also a bit about the efficiencies, more from the production, from the operations standpoint. And then below you see the values. Obviously, a culture eats strategy for breakfast. For us, it's also very important to really develop the culture of Leifheit. So we have 4 core values: trust, courage, integrity, and ambition, which encapsulate what we want to see in terms of culture and how do we want to develop the culture at Leifheit continuously into the future. If we now look at what are we best in, if we look at the core business, this is really what is reliable and a very successful business for us. So that is mechanical cleaning and drying. We have specifically made clear that this is mechanical cleaning, and drying is all the laundry drying. And you see that over the past 10 years, we had a very consistent development. Actually, the development of these areas was more or less 3 times the overall company. So the growth of the company came essentially not to our expectations, so therefore we come to that later. But overall, very reliable and very sustainable, successful core business. That is the foundation of the strategy and of our business. But then we see, even in that, we see a lot of opportunities to expand, because if you would say we are by far market leader, that would be more limited, but we are actually not. So this is the combined market. That is an estimate, because not for all of these segments and markets is official data available. So there are certain estimates in, but we see here that our estimate, we are around about 10% market share. So we believe we have a lot of opportunity to grow, not only against our two key competitors, but also against very many small brands and small products, as you can see, at almost a 60% share they have. So overall, we believe there's a big opportunity and potential in the core categories, and this we want to accelerate in the years to come. So now, of course, the question is going to be, how do you want to do that? And let me focus exactly on that. So we have, and this is derived from the 5 growth drivers you have seen on the strategy chart before. The key growth drivers are a stronger brand positioning, a growth outside Germany in the key European markets, a new innovation strategy, and a new e-commerce digital model. And let me highlight the key aspects of each of that, where the growth will come from. Well, first of all, we have a very strong brand, Leifheit, and you see one of the great placements we see at point of sale. You can see also in stores. So we have a high brand awareness in core markets, and we are really perceived as a high quality brand. And I think that's a great base to work on. We want to continue to develop that. We want to modernize the brand positioning and image. And this we are working on at the moment. And this will be brought to market in the future very soon. And it's also the transformation to be a digital first brand. So we want to further increase our investment into digital. And I come to the aspects of the e-commerce part here as well. So based on that, the big potential we have outside Germany. Obviously, Germany is an important market for us. You see in turnover, it generates around 40% of total turnover. But obviously, if you match that against the market Germany would be around about 2023. So the opportunity we definitely have growing outside Germany. So to do that, we have very specifically defined in which market we want to drive aggressive growth, where do we want to drive growth, and where do we not want to grow, because we rather want to develop a more profitable business. So here we have a specific country clusters and very specific targets for the different organizations and teams. I'm coming to e-commerce as one model, obviously, which is very important for us. And it can also be very interesting as an entry model into new markets. On the innovation part, if you have followed Leifheit for the last years, you have seen that innovation was not very high on our agenda over the past 5, 6, 7 years. So we now bring this back. We think that innovation is key to really address new consumer targets, but also new segments where we are weak or not in at all. This will be, of course, in the core categories. And you see 3 examples which we have been bringing to market since the strategy is to life. So you see we are putting that into place day by day. We have been launching the cleaning set Power Clean, but also window cleaning, an innovation, a 4-in-1 window cleaning product. And now just recently, just 2 months ago, we launched the Super Duster in the dust segment. So I think very exciting. And I come to 2 examples of these. We are also having a new innovation strategy where obviously it all starts with the consumer, a very consumer focused process. We have very clearly defined where do we want to innovate, what is a relaunch cycle we need to be competitive, but also what does our climate strategy means in terms of sustainability targets. So this all is quite precisely defined and now putting in place step by step. Let me give you 2 examples of innovations. And one we are very excited about is the dust cleaning segment, because that is a significant category. It is used by consumers very frequently, weekly, and the market is, for our dimensions compared to our other markets, huge. It's actually the biggest market within our current portfolio if we look at market size. So we estimate the hand duster market around about 220 million euros only. So significant opportunity, and we are basically not in that market. We are entering it now, and this is what we have been launching 2 months ago. We launched the Super Duster. It's really new in the way of bringing a very strong performing product in terms of dust absorption, parity with the market leader, but it brings the sustainability aspect fully into place, which is actually not a very sustainable category today, if you think about it, how these products are used. So we have a product which is washable, so you don't have to trash it, but you wash it. You can wash it up to 50 times, and it keeps the product performance. So definitely a very good, very great product differentiation. And I think the market is ready for that. I think there are many consumers out there who obviously clean their house every week, but want to have a more sustainable solution than others on the market. On top of that, it is also almost 100% recycled plastic. And I think that is also underlining the sustainability message. Here, this is how it looks like. So you can see it in store in Germany at the moment, and we are going now across Europe. So 9,000 displays are being placed while we speak. So for the company Leifheit, that's an absolute record. And you see the consistent branding and the clear messaging at point of sale. So that was one example, and so far that looks very good. We have very good feedback, maybe to say that we have very good feedback from customers. We see first sellout data for the Super Duster being very strong. So we are very, very positive about the opportunity and the potential we have here. I think it's a great example for an innovation where we really enter a new market and serve absolutely new needs for consumers. The black line, we have been speaking in our quarterly calls frequently about black line, and you see here that's already an important line for us. The innovation is about 3 years old, but we are rolling it out through different products, and you see the first half increase was 23% of the black product. So significant increase and actually great performance of the product range of the black range. So let me now come to the second or to the next growth driver, and that's e-commerce and digital. And this, I think, is also really strengthen our strengths. So really focusing on what Leifheit is already great at. We have strong logistic capabilities, and Igor Iraeta is talking about that in a moment. And based on that, because that's the backbone, we now open new distribution markets, new market places, and we put then digital money into that to accelerate growth, which we want to go until 2027, 2030, round about to 30% share in net sales. Here, one example that is also stationary customers. We work together as an example here of Kaufland, because we, of course, hand in hand with them want to develop their marketplaces. And here we started now in Germany to be present on Kaufland, a great cooperation with that customer. I think an excellent example how standard stationary retail and online also works hand in hand. And then the other example is here in France, where we have started D2C September last year, first as a pilot, and now we roll it out month after month. And you see the fantastic performance we have in France. So back to the point that e-commerce can be a strong growth driver in a market where we want to be more present and stronger. So with that being said, I hand over exactly to the logistic part and to Igor Iraeta. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much to everyone. Yes, thank you very much, Alex, for passing me over. We have a strong transformation in our logistic in the last few years. We set it up everything, building a concept of 3 strong logistic warehouses and logistic centers in Europe, one in Czech, where I am at the moment, in Germany as well. The new one we added by last year in France, as Alex already explained. We have transformed our logistics centers from nearly purely B2B logistic than warehouses to specialize other hybrid logistic services where we have achieved an incredible transformation, growing our capabilities in passes per year from 2019 to today by more than 10 times. And as Alex has shown, allowing us then in France, particularly in year to date, to increase 142% our turnover by giving our consumers not only a good delivery service below 48 hours, but as well having good dispatch and logistic cost. If we are looking forward to further value optimizations in our supply or added value chain, we have as well achieved significant gains in efficiency and productivity in our in-house production. The main changing driver in the last years, as well as in the coming years, will be is the implementation throughout the whole added value chain of lean concepts, which means that we are streamlining our production processes and as well as synchronizing them. As an example, we are able to produce different parts, which are we are bringing them together to a single product out of 10 machines, as is the case in our cleaning products as Power Clean, Clean Twist, or Combi, as well as we see there a picture of our drying product Pegasus. And we are within seconds able to finish a product out of material. So that has driven, or the result out of that our productivity has increased in the last years from 2022 till today by 14%, which has allowed us to reduce the impact of increasing energy and material costs in the last years. If we are looking forward, then what are the next steps? The next steps is to go further in the implementation of lean concepts, of the lean strategy, to reduce waste. And in this sense, we are aiming to pass to a full pool production system, where all the supply chain, starting by suppliers till our logistics, we are quicker, we have lower inventories, we are streamlining our added value chain, and we will further improve our logistic costs. We will further improve not only logistic, but as well production costs by with the aim or with the focus in mind of continuous improvement, which is key to lean. In this sense, one of the projects where we have started to implement in here in order to go further into a lean concept in a pool and streamline it production is to focus all our capabilities, competencies in injection molding in the Czech Republic. This project is bringing us around 2 million euros savings per year. We are now in the implementing phase. We started by end of June. We are expecting to be fully finished by end of September, mid of October. And on the other side, to fully implement this project, we will have an impact in our P&L in 2025 of around 3 million euros. And we are as well investing in the Czech Republic additional 1.6 million euros. So that, as I said, is a good example of how we are further improving and moving forward in our production and logistic than our value chain. And now I am giving back to Alex.
Yeah, great, Igor. Thank you very much. I think very exciting to see the progress we are doing in terms of efficiency in the operations at Leifheit. And I'm now coming to the first half results, and you will see there as well the impact of these efficiency gains. And that was really and is a continuous focus of us. And you will see that in a moment. Let me introduce the first half 2025 results to you, and I will in a moment hand over to Marco, who will then share with us the main part of that update, and including the outlook. So the headline over the first half is for sure related to what Igor just said. So really a focus on efficiencies. We have a major boost in efficiencies. On the other hand, we really see strong consumer restraint in non-food categories, in our categories. So this had definitely an impact, a strong impact in our net sales result. So let me go through the three main messages here for you. On the one hand, we have been seeing an EBIT of 3.8 million euro before the special effects, special items. Unadjusted, it's 2 million. And obviously the sales decline and also the project Igor was talking about had an impact on that EBIT number. On gross margin, and that is something which we are updating frequently in our quarterly calls, we are continue to do significant progress thanks to the efficiency gains we were speaking about. So here you see that we are now reached 45.3%, so we are up 90 basis points versus last year, which I think is a very strong achievement, and we want to continue that road. And then on the turnover result, you see obviously a disappointing decline of 8.6%, now to 123 million euro. And it's mainly driven to what I'm talking next on the consumer side, on some portfolio adjustment. We had some parts of the portfolio which we are phasing out. And we had a customer insolvency in the Netherlands of our top 10 customer in the Netherlands, for us totally blocker. So that had also an impact. These are the three elements basically. So before I hand over to Marco, let me speak about consumer and about consumer climate and give you a little bit more context to the net sales development. So obviously first we see that consumer confidence overall remains on a very low level, I would say. So it's quite stagnant. So we have hoped for some improvements, especially in Germany, which we are not yet seeing. So this is definitely due to uncertainty overall in the geopolitical area. And this drives consumer sentiment. On the other hand, we also see that this has a certain impact on consumption, especially and more related to the inflation over the last 3 years, I would say. High inflation led overall to higher spendings on food and less on non-food. There are some studies which are public as well. So that is one impact, and we are also impacted by that. And we see that in the first half in market decline overall in our relevant categories. And obviously this also affected our net sales development, especially in Q2, where we had rather high stocks at customer levels, where we were first driving out with our activities, which we obviously started on top of the ones we have planned. So we started then rather to sell out the stock. So therefore the sell-in was behind expectations for the second quarter especially. So this may be just as an introduction, as a background. And now I hand over to Marco. Marco, please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. I'd like to give you a brief summary of where we stand in terms of profitability after the first 6 months in 2025, before we look at our mid and obviously long-term potential. And first of all, I'd like to point out that for the first time, Leifheit reports adjusted KPIs. And that was necessary because of the strategic optimization project in production, which Igor pointed out earlier. We will have one-time costs of about 3 million euros in 2025, which will be shown fully in our gross margin. And therefore, we have done already after Q2, we will just adjust our gross margin and EBIT so that you can see the development compared to the previous periods, like for like. And so without the 1.8 million euros costs that we have already in the books after Q2, our gross margin is 0.9 percentage points above previous year. And that shows, given the fact that we produced less volume in 2025, and on top of that, lowered our stock volume or stock level once more by 3 million euros, that we made good progress to be more efficient and more flexible than in the past. I will come back to that on the next slide. Our foreign currency result is slightly negative this year compared to a positive 0.2 million euros last year, adding further pressure on EBIT. That being said, we're obviously not able to fully cover that lack of revenue in the first half, so that our adjusted EBIT stands at 3.8 million euros, while it was 7 million last year. It's important to highlight that we had additional costs in the first half of the year because of major projects within our efficiency drivers that will strengthen our company. For example, we will convert our ERP SAP system to SAP S4, including cloud services, advanced AI tools, and so on, within this year. And nevertheless, we will concentrate our efforts fully on executing the marketing and sales activities in the second half of the year, which therefore means that we will reduce all other costs to finance that and to make sure that we get back on track according to our guidance and reach an EBIT level of around 9 to 11 million, which will bring us slightly above previous year's level because before one-time costs of around 3 million euros. One of our strategic goals, like Alex and Igor mentioned, is to strengthen our manufacturing footprint in Europe, which should lead to continuous margin improvement due to focus on efficiency, flexibility, and resilience, and therefore lower costs. While we started with around 50% in own production a few years ago, we are now talking about roughly 70 to 75% of own production within our core categories. Those efforts led to a margin improvement from first half 2022 with 38.6% to 45.3% adjusted, of course, this year. Another important aspect, of course, is the focus on profitable products within our campaigns. And for the second half this year, beginning of 2026, we have already lined up the additional 2 million euros savings of our relocation of injection molding from Germany to Czech. And we will convert our ERP system, like I said, to S4. And that will create additional options for savings next year. Another big step for the second half of this year will be the start of our D2C business, Eastern Europe, from our distribution center next to our manufacturing. That should enable growth in that segment and reduce our costs like we see in France. Now I'd like to give you an outlook for 2025 for the rest of the year, and which is more important, I would like to talk about the midterm and long-term potential. Even with the expected decline in revenue in 2025 of -5 to -8%, we expect an EBIT level of around 9 to 11 million, which means that even if we reach the lower end of that corridor without one-off costs because of the strategic optimization project of around 3 million, an EBIT on previous year's level of 12 million, therefore an improvement of our EBIT margin to above 5% is in reach this year, which underlines again the improvements in efficiency throughout the organization. And if we look at the different growth drivers that we identified while working on our corporate strategy, and you see them here on this chart: stronger brand positioning, internationalization, our new innovation strategy, and nevertheless strengthen our capabilities online, we should have the potential to grow between 3 to 6% on average midterm. And taking the efficiency drivers into account, that should get us to an EBIT level of around 7 to 10%. And like Alex pointed out earlier, if our core grew by 4.1% over the last 10 years, and if we then take all strategic drivers into account, we think that is achievable. And in general, our vision is to become European branded leader in mechanical cleaning and drying, which then would get us to more than 300 million euros revenue and more than 10% EBIT margin level long term. We have a strong commitment to shareholder value, which will stick to, we will stick to our attractive dividend policy of 75% of free cash flow or net result for the period. And as you surely know, our share buyback program of 2024 ran out in April this year, which had a volume of around 7 million euros. And of course, is something we are considering generally, but always with an eye on keeping on our investment capabilities, especially when it comes to innovations such as our Super Duster or optimization project this year, for example. So why did I say attractive dividend policy? First of all, we paid a base dividend of €1.15 in 2025 for the year 2024, which was the highest amount in Leifheit's history, and as base dividend, and additional 5-cent special dividend, and both combined, we're talking about a dividend yield, as you can see on top of the screen, of 7.6%. In general, over the last years, Leifheit paid reliable dividends, with exceptions only in years which were affected by the Corona crisis measures. Let me close the summary with a summary of the 4 most important investment highlights. We are a company with a strong vision and corporate strategy that focuses on clear growth and efficiency targets as well. Those will fuel our potential to expand and grow in Europe with innovation and, of course, our e-commerce and digital capabilities in general. We also stand for lean, efficient production and logistics support. Logistics to support profitability, but also our cash generation with great improvement of our working capital over the last years. And last but not least, we have a strong commitment to shareholder value, which means, of course, that our shareholders will benefit from the improvements of our company and, of course, from our solid liquidity position or situation, I might say. All right. Thank you for your attention, and we are looking forward to our Q&A session that follows.
Yeah, and here we are back with the Q&A session. We got some insights already and received also some questions. Before we start with the first question, quite often cited and talked about are the US tariffs. Do you have any direct impact from the US tariffs?
Yes, so thanks. I think it's from Mr. Krüger. Thanks a lot for the question. So first of all, direct to our business, very limited, as we are. I think we are very resilient in terms of our supply chain, and also obviously in terms of our markets, as we are 98% European company. We have a small business in the US, which obviously is impacted by the tariffs, but that is a really small part. So overall, I think as a company, we are rather very well positioned in terms of our overall resilience. And if I understand correctly, your question was, I think it went further, right? The question, I'm not sure.
Exactly.
That was part of the question, definitely.
Yeah, I wanted to start with the direct impacts, but also with the indirect outcome of those tariffs. And the question is also if there's some other producers or the Chinese producers that remove their production to Europe or to the US.
If Chinese producers are redirecting their production into Europe, I mean, if I understand the question correctly, so we don't see that. No, we can't see that they are shifting production into Europe, if I understand the question correctly.
Yeah, there's no onshoring. But do you see that, for instance, consumers are buying more local to reduce tariff impacts, to reduce the value, the production chains, to reduce risks regarding those topics?
I mean, overall, maybe less related to tariffs, but really related to the logistics of bringing products, for instance, from China into Europe. This really depends really on the categories, as it's very different. If you take our laundry category, you have very high logistic costs. So that's definitely a disadvantage. And the opposite, it's an advantage for all European producer of these products, because obviously you have very little or far less logistic costs. So this drives, I think, overall the competitiveness we have as a European producer versus producers from China, as an example. So less connected to tariffs, I think more connected to overall costs, bringing at least certain segments a long way from Asia.
A quite related question is the question about the e-commerce competition. Speaking about Chinese or Asian competitors, the question relates Temu or Shein. Do you see an increasing competition from those players?
So first of all, I think generally we see over the last 12 months that they are getting more active across various categories and also across our categories. Yes, they entered these. These were not the starting categories for Temu and Shein, but yes, you can also find our product categories there. I would say the market segment is a very different one generally. So I would say if it comes to quality, I would not call it a direct competition. But yes, we look at that obviously very carefully, because certainly that will also develop, right, in terms of the offers these platforms have. And maybe that is also just like discounters maybe 20 years ago, which are also today for many shoppers at the end, the destination shop. This is also definitely changing. So in terms of penetration, they have, of course, significant gains of shopping trips, as an example. And this goes across age groups. These are not only the younger. So we look at that definitely. I think so far it is a different market segment to the largest extent. But we look at that, and definitely this is a new market player and a new distribution channel at the end, which we will have a look at, and which will be relevant also for us, I think, in future.
Maybe a related question. Could you also imagine to sell your Leifheit products or the product portfolio on platforms like Temu and Shein, as both companies are planning to relocate the logistics to Europe? So it could be another distribution channel for you?
So I think generally for us, I think as a brand, Leifheit, it's very important to have the right quality environment, right, where we want to sell. If that is given, I don't see any reason why that should not be a distribution channel, because I think the guiding principle should rather be where people shop. We want to be in the right environment for the right shopper, of course. So we will never be a brand which offers a drying rack for 5 or 10 euros. That's definitely not what we are going to do. But yes, if we have the right quality environment, I think it's just another distribution channel with its opportunities.
With the word quality, you have mentioned already the step to the next question, especially in the challenging market phases. What sets Leifheit apart from the competition?
Sorry, in which sense? Sorry.
Potentially generally, what sets Leifheit apart from the competition, but also in the challenging market environment we see currently, what makes a shopper in a grocery store go to Leifheit instead of some other products?
Yeah, right. I think first and foremost, I think there comes the great quality we offer. Yeah, I think Leifheit has really a great quality, product quality. I think always an idea better in terms of making it more convenient, making it more easy to use, making the chore in the house easier for people, for consumers. So I think this is the main point, but obviously also in the current environment for us, value for money plays also a role. So we are also looking into, okay, how do we need to position ourselves in a very competitive way, also with offering really always the best value for shoppers. That means also activations we run currently, for instance, addressing the consumer sentiment. That is, of course, also very important. And again, last but not least, it's the brand we have, where people, I think, over many, many years trust the great products they can use partly for decades. Yeah, so I think that's a combination of these elements.
Speaking about the consumer sentiment, what are the current assumptions underlying for your guidance? Could there be another guidance cut if demand remains weak in the second half of the year 2025?
Yeah, so thanks. I think that's a great question. I think first of all, in our guidance, which Marco shared, I think we have assumed that consumer sentiment will not dramatically change, means improve. It will remain where it is. I think that is the base assumption we have. So that is also factored into our guidance. I think to understand our guidance, it is very important to understand also the dynamics of the first and the second half of the year. First of all, obviously, we have been starting when we saw the challenging market context beginning of the year. We have been starting initiatives which in the second quarter more drove sellout, which now there are additional activities are coming to do that. We have, very importantly, the innovations I was talking about. I mean, Super Duster is coming now to the market. This obviously has an impact. We are very sure about in the second half. And then also the headwinds we had in the first half when it comes to assortment reduction in certain areas or phasing out of assortment and the customer insolvency. These are effects which are less relevant for the second half. So all in all, this is basically the build-up of our guidance, which Marco presented between -5% to -8%. So we are very confident on that.
A follow-up question, which is a quite interesting question, I believe, is like, could even the challenging environment we are seeing right now be an opportunity for an established brand like Leifheit to gain additional market share?
Yes, I think we are seeing every challenge as an opportunity. Absolutely, this is how we look at that. I think obviously we look, and I think Marco was talking about that quite clearly. We take it only as an opportunity to be even more efficient. We look at efficiency within the organization. So obviously that is what is very relevant at the moment, and I think which will make us better then for the future. So, and you have seen that also with the project which Igor shared, we are not shying away from also tough decisions, right? Moving the production into Czech. So I think we are preparing the house for better times as well. I think that is very important. And on the other hand, obviously, in a situation where consumption is rather slow, you sit also together with customers in order to really think things through differently. And we have a lot of great customer relationships. If I name example, the DIYs in Germany, which also most of them were also behind their expectation, according to the official reports. So I think then it's also great as a team to think together with the customer and make better customer plans. And this is what we are doing at the moment. So I think we are getting better also in that regard because of the situation. Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks for this answer. We received a question regarding the dividend. I will go back to the slides. The question, do you plan to maintain the dividend at the current high level, or should we expect downward adjustments next year in light of the recently weak quarters? And a combined question, is it to be assumed that the share buybacks will be suspended for the time being?
Thanks for the question. Yes, of course. I wanted to point out when I presented earlier that it's not our intent to do so. We will stick to our committed, let's say, shareholder value, of course, and within that to keep, of course, the dividend reliable on a high level. And second, we share buyback programs. Maybe I got one slide back. Of course, generally in our mind, and yeah, we will look into that, how we go further the years.
Okay, thank you. There's been another question. For the moment, the last one. What is the long-term strategy? What is the long-term strategy to ensure growth, profitability, and stability in the volatile market environment? Are there any products which could get replaced?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Brian, for the question. So I think, first of all, obviously in the strategy, I think overall we are addressing a lot of these elements in terms of making sure we guarantee growth, profitability, stability in such an environment. Obviously, I think that goes hand in hand. Let me take the example of resilience again. I think resilience is in that market environment super important, and we have been working on that already over a couple of years, where we locate our own production only in Europe, where we get the footprint of our suppliers mostly to Europe. So much more resilience. I think this is very important in the environment, and we have been seeing the benefits of that throughout the last 2-3 years. And yes, on the other hand, products being replaced, I would rather put it in a way, of course, we always look at what consumers need and want from products in our categories. What are their needs? And if these needs are changing, obviously we work on that, we reflect on that, and we put that into our product concepts and products at the end. So we look at the core categories and ask ourselves, okay, what are generally changing consumer habits? Example that people look for simpler products to clean their home. Just the convenience of that's a big trend, obviously, as one example. So I think it's more about these larger trends. And otherwise, short term, of course, we look at, again, what I said before, I think creating really, really good value for money as a great brand and great products with the right pricing also to attract shoppers. Yeah. Products will always be replaced by better ones. I think this is also what we do in terms of our innovation work. Always challenging, is the current product good enough? And but generally, because of what we are seeing, I don't think that a category will be replaced as such. I think this is not what we are seeing.
Thank you. We have received a further question. I will try to read it. On the current consumer behavior, do you see the evidence that the pandemic has synchronized consumer behavior, that everybody bought household stuff at the same time and now doesn't need to replace it? I bought everything I could possibly need from Leifheit. Okay, the participant, he obviously does not need any further stuff. I mean, we've got the same topic with the barbecue stuff, with the small inflatable boats. It has been bought during the pandemic, and now.
So I was not in the company by that time, so I can't judge the details. I'm more maybe describing it for what officially publicly I can read. Obviously, the pandemic in a lot of categories has surged demand for these categories. I think you can see in our turnover development that was a similar case. I think it has normalized already by the time. So I would say the normalization has taken place. I think what we are seeing now, I would rather not so much connect to what COVID created in terms of buying products in very different categories and then being done with that, because then I think last year would have been different most likely. So that's my assumption. I think it's more at the moment what I was describing at the beginning, where we see that I think inflation has rather definitely changed things. No, inflation is for many people very high over the last 3 years. And we see that in shopper studies that people are buying then foremost food, obviously, and that generally, not only our categories, but generally non-food is then second priority for whatever the category is. I think this is something which can be seen in data and which is also a certain effect we see. So I think this will also come back. I think that's also a period, and that's maybe a dip we are seeing. So, but overall, I think that's more the connection than the connection to COVID. Yeah.
Talking about inflation and higher costs, really interesting question, I would say, is, sorry if I missed it, how are costs for shelf space developing, and how do you steer when launching new products?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Sure. How are the costs for the shelf space in a store developing currently? And how do you steer when launching new products? I mean, we have seen for the duster these what's called the Aufsteller.
Yeah.
How are costs for placing them in the floor
Right.
are developing?
Yes, I think depends really very different by customer, by country even. Partly this is part of an overall negotiation with the customer. Partly not. So very, very hard to, I think, to answer in a very general form. But I think overall, I think the costs are, I would say, rather similar to what we have been seeing in the past.
Another question just popping up. In the current situation of household goods in this segment, which trends are driving growth? In the current situation, and in our view, what are the main reasons for the current weakness in demand, particularly in Germany and in France?
Yeah, so there I have to say we don't have a lot of market data where I could really specifically tell you what is happening by brand, by market, because the market is not audited in such a way. Generally, I think the overall trend of what's happening this year, I think I have been, in the meantime, maybe I answered the question, the second part of it. But yeah, definitely depends also a lot by market. Yeah, but overall, what I just said, I think is more related to the general non-food development. Yeah.
I see. Gentlemen, actually, we are running out of questions. Let's say we have answered all of them. We just can wait a second if there's potentially another question popping up, but for the time being, I can see that nobody's using the chat box. And with having said that, we're coming to an end in time. So I would say thank you to all of you for your thoughtful questions, and the special thanks to you, gentlemen, for your time and your insights. All participants will shortly receive a brief email, and we greatly appreciate if you could share your feedback with the company and our research team. And thank you once again for joining us today. And for a final few words, I'll hand it back over to the company, Leifheit.
Yes, so thank you very much from our side, from Marco, Igor, and myself. Thanks a lot for joining today. Thank you for the great questions. I think it was a very lively Q&A. Let us know if you have any other feedback. Otherwise, again, as we were saying, I think we started to have a very clear strategy last year. We are implementing this month by month. I think that is what we are really focusing on. And while maybe consumer sentiment and the market develops a bit against, or at least gives some headwinds, let's say, I think we are developing efficiency. So this is really what we are doing, focusing on that and developing also a good second semester. So thank you very much for joining. Thanks a lot for the discussion, and hope to see you very soon, maybe in person in one of the conferences. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.